What's going on, folks? Welcome back to the channel. My name's Chris and I'm building a business that suits my lifestyle. Now today, reseller, flipper, part-timer, full-timer, business owner, however you want to call it. If you are selling on eBay, there is a conversation that is needed to be had that I feel gets pushed to the side quite a lot. And that is the conversation of time. Now, without getting too philosophical, I really wanted to discuss the whole understanding of how we leverage our time. Now, for me personally, I wanted to use this as a chance to actually celebrate a little milestone. This week, I actually hit a new milestone in the business since starting this back on the 11th of January, 2021. And since then, I have officially hit $200,000 in revenue. Now, this is revenue, remember, not profit. And I've been documenting this journey since then. And it's been an exciting journey to be able to get to this point. But to be honest, there are some real key points and some real key lessons that I want to talk about that I've been able to take away from going through this process of, trying to build a business, but also documenting it, and really the lessons of time and how or what we should be doing with it. So in this video, I want to take you through a couple of things. Number one being lessons over time when we resell or selling on eBay. Number two is the advantages of spending time. And three, what does this even mean? And of course, if you stick around to the end, I will take you through my business update for the week, what's been happening, and some show and tell. Let's get into it. Now, some context for if you are new here and if you don't know my story, coming into this world of reselling back in 2021, early 2021, from a prior experience of maybe just flipping a little bit on the side and a bit of a side hustler, I didn't really have much direct relation to reselling as such, as a business anyway, or as a business model, but more so just flipping a few things on the weekend. Now, there was this idea that seeing others doing it means, sweet, if they can do it, I can probably just replicate this and I can get the same results. Now, in theory, that this is true. But year one, 2021, I said, when I first started this business, I came out with a very bold statement. And I did it publicly as well. I did it here on YouTube, that I was going to do $100,000 in my first year of reselling online. And look, it was very ambitious. It was very bold, very bold now that I look back on it. But I didn't actually know what it meant. Like I was pretty convinced that I was going to do that in my first year, but I didn't actually really know what it meant. I mean, 365 days to do $100,000 in revenue. At the time, it seemed, okay, well, people on the internet are making it look easy, so how hard can it be? Why can't I do this as well? So I started, like any good person should, we start to, move towards the goal that we want. Long story short, in that first year, year one, I only did about $55,291. So I was a long way off. I did. I made it just over halfway. So what's the big lesson here? What's the point of this? Well, one, you do need to set goals. Goals are very important, but you need to know what it takes. You need to understand what is it going to take. Now, I'm very ambitious and I have learned from that. I guess that's been a big lesson. I like to have ambition and set ambitious goals, and I like to be able to achieve them. But the funny thing here was, it was a little different. I expected it to happen because I was doing the reps, I was putting in the work. And that's going to be the big conversation of today of how we're spending our time. The difference was, though, there was a big gap of the know-how, the gap of the ability to produce the results, and the gap of actually staying on track, like tracking to what's required. $100,000 in a single year is $273 every day for 365 days. Now, for the first 6 months, I was only averaging $117 a day. So clearly there's a big gap, like really big gap. It just wasn't adding up. Now, don't get me wrong, this is still amazing. If you're starting out and you're doing $117 a day, kudos to you. This is a great achievement. It is not easy because you need to get that momentum behind you. You need to figure out what you want to sell. You need to have that consistency. And if you've got that consistency, a big shout out to you. So in this case, okay, I had all this ambition. Why didn't I achieve it? What was I doing? What was going wrong? Well, I had the idea things would happen. I would get some traction, the momentum would pick up, I would essentially just get a little bit better at it, which was true, but I wasn't actually sourcing intently, I wasn't listing to sell, I wasn't constantly or consistently listing, and I wasn't learning from my mistakes, and I think that's the big one. Come 6 months later, I did some spot checking, and with some help of accountability and some inputs from others, and learning from the past, I was able to, take a deep look and actually understand that, okay, things need to change. So for the next 6 months, the second 6 months of that first year, I was actually able to average $201 a day. So you can see that I've almost doubled what I was doing prior to the first 6 months. And that was because I was able to look at it, holistically and understand, okay, something needs to change. So the first 6 months I did $21,300, and the second 6 months I did $36,500, which that's a nice little jump, nice level of growth. Again, this is all revenue. We're talking top line at this point. Not bad. So I was able to take the lessons, and with the support of others and the encouragement of keeping me accountable, and understand what didn't work, and then apply it for round 2 or the second half of 2021. And in the end, that's how I landed at $55,291 for my first year back in 2021. So year 2 came around. Now, I backed down from that $100,000 goal. I wasn't going to come out and say, hey, I'm going to do $100,000 this year, but I still wanted to hit the $100,000 target. Like, that was still my goal. I wanted to see how long was it going to take from zero, how many days. And I just wanted to do 2022 better. I just wanted to do it smarter. I wanted to have a better result. And now I had a baseline, which is smart because now I knew what I was capable of doing. Therefore, let's beat that, that level of baseline. So across year 2, I was able to pick it up, and I was able to build some momentum, and I was able to maintain that momentum. I averaged $220 per day, getting myself to $80,000 in that single year, in year 2, which is a nice jump. So what changed? Well, 1, I was able to continue to take the learnings and stay consistent. I was revisiting, understanding what do I need to change? How can I adjust? I started to try new things, but I was staying on focus. Like, I was tracking what I was doing and seeing if I'm happy with these results, and then making decisions to hopefully make some adjustments. Now, in this same year, I have actually finally hit $100,000. It took me 579 days to get to $100,000. I did it on the 25th of August, 2022. Now, immediately, I knew that now that I've hit this $100,000, I need to do the next quicker. That was just the conviction that I had. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I know that I can do it because now I know I'm capable of hitting 100,000. Therefore, I should be able to do it a little bit quicker because now I know how to get there. So since then, I knew, and the lesson really was this: if I want to do better results, I have to do better work. I cannot keep doing the same things to get better results, and I have to do better things to get better results. It's almost like a simple math problem, really. So since then, 296 days later, I actually have done it. I have finally hit my second $100,000 or $200,000 in total of revenue. 296 days compared to the more than 500. That's just, it's crazy to think, all right? But it's quite achievable. Now, I averaged $338 per day over the last year. That's how I did it. Now, I'm not doing this video to say, look at me, look at me. I share my results regardless. Last week, I had a really bad week compared to previous weeks, and I documented that journey. I explained that it was a rough week for myself mentally, and I have my good weeks, I have my bad weeks. I'm sharing this journey for this very sole purpose, is to help you understand that as you go through the journey, there's going to be some big wins, there's going to be some, not so good days as well. But the fact of the matter is this: I had to make some big changes in order to enable that growth. Now, I like to call this slingshot growth. It's probably not as slingshotty as quickly as possible. That's probably come now later in this year, 2023. But there were things that needed to be changed. And the things that did change were these: my approach, my actions, and thus so did my results. And that's the big lesson. Over time, we need to take our results, we need to take our learnings, and we need to reapply them. We need to compound them into better results. If you do not, well, then you will lose out in time. Which brings me to point number 2, the advantages of spending time. And this is really the meat of the conversation today. So what did I do that changed my ability to grow? I said before what changed, but look, I still have to do this today. I still do this across the board, not just in my business, not just in reselling, but it applies to life as well. But in this case, spend your time where you make money. Now, this is a little blurred because obviously sometimes it's hard to tailor or to value something that we do, and how do we tie it back to the money that we generate. Now, this does seem straightforward in some sense as well. Like, it's like, okay, well, if that makes me money, do more of that. So it seems easy enough, but there's a little bit of fluff to this. Like, as I said, on paper, it does sound pretty simple, but in practice, it's actually quite hard. And that's why I want to take you through, what does this actually mean? So it means things like this, and I'm talking to myself. I want to be 100%. I'm not calling anyone out here. I'm really just explaining the lessons and the things that I still have to continue to do to keep myself honest in order to get the results that I want. Now, we're going to go through a huge list here, starting off with stop buying the stuff that doesn't sell. Number 2 is stop justifying a good deal when it's not. When you buy something, know who's going to buy it. Like, how are you going to sell it? What are you selling and who is the buyer for it? Now, this one is actually a bit fluffy because we don't always know, but as you start to sell more, you start to build a couple of things. You start to build some reputation with regular customers, people that like to come back, but you also know who is the type of person that wants to buy this, right? It might be a demographic type. It might be someone who's looking for a bargain. Is this something that's likely to sell with multiple items? Or what price point is it selling at? Understand how is it going to sell. Having the confidence that what you buy will sell and in a set period of time. Take risks if it means better results. Spend time refining, defining, and optimizing processes. That one is crucial, and we're going to touch on that shortly. You need to also clean up your house. And what I mean by this is you need to clean up your practices to ensure that they have the intention in helping you execute effectively. How do you list? How do you, and this is the processes, how do you list? How do you photo? How do you source? How do you sort? How do you sell? How do you post? How do you pack? How do you pick? How do you SKU your items? How do you manage your inventory? How do you manage your customers? How do you handle issues? How can you operate consistently? Look, these are just the tip of the iceberg, and there is so much carving that we can do to continue to make better versions of ourselves or business operations or how we operate reselling, and in terms of what we want to create or the results that we want to see. So for me, I've had to do some adjustments, some big adjustments. As I've already said, all those things, I had to, look at processes. I had to see how I was photoing. I had to see how I was, listing, how I was storing items. But the big ones for me have been this: learning new products, learning how to process these said new products, learning how to source those products, getting rid of the crap in my store, like culling the bad stuff. And I'm still doing this. Having checklists when you buy. Does it meet a criteria? Does it meet a buy price? Do you know how much you can sell this for? Knowing when you can call it, knowing when the deal, it's not worth it, and calling quits. Meaning, pulling back, building a pricing plan, building a plan on how you're going to sell, optimizing your SKUing system, optimizing your packing process, changing processes, and asking for help. These are all being big key ones for me that has enabled me to get the growth that I've seen. And they will continue to be required. And I will continue to have to make new changes and adjust in different ways and take on new lessons in order to get to the next level. We have to spend time regardless. You're spending time in order to get anything that you want, but we need to spend it right. For instance, if you want to make a cake, do you just grab a bunch of things and you just chuck it in the oven? No, you don't. You can't do that. I mean, you can, but if you follow a process which takes time, but if you do it right, it will result in a brilliant outcome, usually a tasty one too. You may become quicker at the process, meaning, what used to take you 15 minutes to make might now take you 12 minutes to make. You learn to do the process without having to know the guide. You know the guide, you've acquired the knowledge, and now you can build the cake formula from scratch. You may even find a quick trick, something that you can do to optimize that process that other people aren't doing compared to when you first started. But if you do not follow the process, you won't have the cake you wanted or expected. It's that simple. And the other thing is that we need to call out here is you cannot get the results beyond what you have done by doing the same thing and expecting more. It needs to be adjusted, it needs to be refined, and it needs to be uplifted. Now, a really good example of this, and this is great. I don't know why I'm talking about cake, but cake's a good example. You cannot bake a cake that produces 12 even slices for 12 people and expect it to produce the same even slices but for 24 people. It doesn't work, right? I mean, yes, you can have smaller pieces of cake, but if you're, wanting an average size piece of cake, I don't know how much an average size piece of cake is, but if that normally feeds 12 people, fairly and comfortably, without compensating, you can't expect to make a 12-piece cake to feed 24 people of the same size. It just does not make sense. You cannot do it. It does not work. Now, we all have the same time, yet why do we all see different results? And that is simply because we have spent longer time learning. Some people have more experience, more understanding. They've grown further than you, and that's okay. Look at the people that are ahead of you. What have they been able to achieve? If they've been doing it for 6 years, 10 years, 20 years, it makes sense that they're able to achieve more with their time because they know how to execute better and more effectively. They've spent their time better through the acquired knowledge, meaning now when they spend their time, it's worth more because they're able to execute at a different level. Another reason is they've learned how to leverage their time better for return. Maybe they're paying someone else. Maybe they know how to get a better bang out of buck. I mean, it's a similar conversation around ASP. If you've got 1 hour and you're selling items that are $30 each and you sell 10 items, that's $300. But if your ASP is $60 and you sell 10 items in an hour, all of a sudden you've made $600. Now, the difference is, how do I find items that will sell for $60? I don't know. My ASP is only $30. So I can't talk about that. That's something I'm yet to be able to achieve consistently. There's days where I'll have an ASP of $60 or $100. It's really, really nice, but they don't come consistently. That's something still I have to consider of how am I going to solve and keep that consistent. Other people who've already mastered that, it's now an easier process for them. I'm not saying it's easy, it's an easier process. Now, this doesn't happen overnight. Like, clearly, as you've just heard, how long it's taken me to get to the first 100,000, then the second 100,000 of this journey. But the thing is, no, it doesn't happen overnight, but it consistently will happen over multiple nights of days and reps. That's the key. You need to be consistent over a long period of time, and then it will happen overnight. All of a sudden, things start to get momentum. Things start to snowball. Now, I'm very passionate about this conversation simply because, now that I've, achieved my first 100,000, achieved my second 100,000, I need to have a deep and close look at myself, and I need to ask the question, well, what does this all mean? Which is point number 3. If I want better results in the next 296 days, if I want to hit my next $100,000 quicker than 296 days, well, I cannot keep doing the same thing. I need to grow. I need to look inwards and say, what can I change? What can I do? And it's the same conversation for you. It might not be about 100,000. It might be you just want to earn that next level of $10,000 or get to that next milestone. As I said, it applies for you, for your next goal and your next milestone. Maybe it's 10,000, maybe it's 50,000. Heck, maybe it's beyond what I'm even setting myself. Regardless, I am responsible and accountable for what I do. You are responsible and accountable for what you do. But together we can support each other. Of course, you have your peers, you have your community, and community is very, very important. So what can you do today that will enable you to get to where you want to be a little quicker? Well, I have a couple of quick tips that I want to share with you that work really well for me, but you still need to apply a lot of practice behind them. This is theory, not the practice, right? You need to go do the practice. So the first one is understand what is it going to take. Whatever it is that you're working towards, the daily revenue, the ASP, the sales, the listings, what is it going to take? In a perfect world, if you want to hit $100,000, what do you need to be doing every day to get there? Or $10,000 or $20,000, whatever it may be. We're talking revenue just for the sake of a nice round number. You need to celebrate the little win. Now, this is very important, and I've put this as number 2 because as you hit checkpoints, as you make progress, you need to celebrate. You need to give yourself a big pat on the back and celebrate for however you like to do it. For instance, for this $200,000 milestone or $100,000 milestone number 2, I'm going to buy something to display. I'm going to make sure I've got something there to remind me of my hard work because it keeps me honest. Now, for 100K number 1, I actually purchased myself an enamel pin, a Star Wars enamel pin, and I'm going to show it to you. I got myself this big plaque. Now, I don't actually have it hanging up. I want to have it. This thing weighs a ton. But I got this, and it's on display, and every time I see it, I'm reminded by the hard work and the effort that I did. And it keeps me honest, and it keeps me knowing that, okay, if I want the next thing, this is what I got to do. So celebrate and reward yourself and find a way to continue to motivate yourself. I haven't actually picked what I'm getting for my 200,000 milestone yet, but there'll be something that I'll do to help, again, remind me of the work I've done to help keep me motivated. And point number 3 is you need to check in and you need to review, whether it's monthly, whether it's weekly, whether it's quarterly. I would actually suggest doing it weekly. That's why I document this. I share with you guys each week how things are progressing, what's working, what's not, how the results are, if it's a good week, a bad week, my averages. Some weeks I show a lot of the same stuff, but some weeks I show a few different insights and analysis. That's the way I operate, and that's what's worked for me. But it does keep me honest, because if you're not hitting an average, you can start to then quickly do the math and saying, okay, I need to do something. Something needs to change. So if you aren't seeing the results that you need, then you need to do something. If you are seeing the results that you need, then don't slow down. How do you keep the momentum? How do you build a moat? So yeah, if you're not seeing the progress that you want, you need to ask yourself, okay, is it because maybe I'm not getting enough sales? Is that because you're not listing enough? Are you not pricing right? Are you not selling the relevant products? And I've done a video on this of why people buy, so that's something that you might want to consider as well. But you really need to understand, where are you missing the boat? Only you can potentially answer that. Look, you could have other people look in, challenge you, and really, probe into what's going on. But I think a lot of the time we know what it is that we're missing because we procrastinate. We avoid getting uncomfortable. And my challenge to you is find the holes, fix the holes or fix the gaps, and then get back to it. Stop, being around the bush, stop mucking around. And if you want this, you can do it. You're just going to have to get a little uncomfortable and do a little bit more work. I'm not here to say you have to hustle and work 60-hour weeks. No. Just do better work. Now, these are my 3 tips. And if anything of this sounds a little fluffy or, if anyone here is saying, oh yeah, Chris, that's all easy said and done. You've done this. That's right. That's why I'm sharing it, because I know what I know what I've been able to achieve and how I've been able to achieve it. I can't talk about how to get to $1 million because I don't know how to do that. I haven't done it yet, right? But if there's something here that you think resonates with you, or you've got some more questions about that you want me to help clarify, I'm more than happy to do that, right? There's no shame in asking. I'm here to help, and I've got a lot to learn. I ask people all the time for help. I get insight. I have to challenge my thinking. I have to be challenged with my thinking. And that's why the community is so important as well. You need to find the people that, do spur you on, but also do keep it honest for you as well and call it out. So this is a constant process, and it's something that you have to continue to rinse and repeat. Those 3 tips and getting the feedback. That is my message for you and me today. And if you've stuck around this long, we're going to dive into week 127, how the business has been going, and also we'll dive into some show and tell. So let's jump in. So actually, this week has actually been a lot better than last week. Last week, we almost didn't hit my average. And as I said, I don't want to just be doing average. I want to be doing better than my average and growing that average. This week, we've been way above average. We've actually hit a level that I'm quite pleased with. If I'm having a look at all the sales, we've done 110 sales. All the items that have been selling have been a lot of clothes, a lot of jeans, electronics, DVDs, video games, and a few other things as well. Clothing has brought in $1,800, and then jeans have been about $300. So that in itself just blows my mind. And there's been some really cool finds that I've had this week over the last couple of weeks as well that will be coming out in some videos. So really rewarding week. In terms of some of the top items that have been selling for this week, I'm going to share with you 4. These aren't necessarily the best, but they're pretty cool, and I want to share them with you anyway. So top item number 1 for this week was this vintage North Face quilted vest. Now this one, I actually sold a yellow version of it. This was the magenta one. I've been able to sell this for $164 over to the US. It cost me $13.18. That's out of a bulk deal. And I've profited around $115.33 after fees and postage. Incredible. Top item number 2, which actually was an item I picked up literally just a couple of days ago with Cameron. That video comes out in like 2 weeks. And I've paid $8.57 for this, an ASICS Cricket Australia Players 2008 presentation jacket. I've actually probably listed this one a little too low. It had some markings on it. The last one with tags sold for $260. So I put this up for $139 with $15 postage. It sold instantly, which is okay. I've walked away with about $91 in profit after fees and postage. So I'm happy with that, but just crazy what sells. The next one was this Adidas Pharrell Williams collab Daisy Floral cruise shirt. Now I picked this one up in a Savers run just the other week as well. I paid $5.87 for it and been able to sell it for $60, and after fees and postage, $35.47 back into my pocket. Another cool find for this week, or top item number 4, was this Star Wars Jedi Apprentice bundle of books. Now they were ex-library books, pretty rough and tough. I paid $5.87 for these as a lot. This is from an average cost of good, also from a video coming out soon. Sold them for $50 flat, and I've walked away with about $27.09 after fees and postage. So very, very rewarding week with some of those wins. Those quick sales are really where it's at. In terms of how the week's progressed in general, 127, that's week 127. We've done 110 sales, margin sitting just below 40%. Cost of goods sold was $786 worth. Sold $3,424 worth, profit being $1,363. ASP $31, so a bit higher than the last couple of weeks, which is nice. Average cycle time still on that 102 day cycle. I would like to get that closer to 90 days, to be honest. All in all, really, really good week. I think the difference for this week was nothing really changed in terms of what I was doing. There were a few things that I knew that I'd been lazy with, slacking off, avoiding listing certain items or doing some cleanup work, or, really doing the research. And, not talking about death piles or anything like that, but I think we all know it, and I know it, is there's things that we put off because I don't know it, or it's going to require friction. friction. It requires you to have to do extra work or have to learn or spend time that you don't usually do and you don't know it. And it requires friction. We don't like friction, but when you spend the time with friction and learn what it is, it can actually be very rewarding, because when you put friction with things, it usually creates a reaction which is for the better. And sometimes for the worse, obviously, if you know things are going the wrong kind of friction. But my point here is, I'm blabbering, my point here is, a lot of the time, the things that we are ignoring, the things that we're putting off, are the things we need to really work on. They're the obstacles before us, and those obstacles are actually probably what's going to open the gates to getting us the results that we want. So I had to fix a few things up. I need to keep that consistent. I need to keep myself honest, and that's why I share these videos. It's my journey. I'm very grateful to have you guys here coming along for the ride, asking questions, keeping me honest, and just enjoying, the process as well. Whether you're doing it yourself, whether you're a part-timer, full-timer, doing it as a business, doing it as a side hustle, whatever. I'm really grateful, and I thank you so much. And, at the end of the day, I do these videos, as I said, for myself, but I would hope that someone would come along and follow these from where I started, where I was making so many mistakes. I still make mistakes today, but back then I was talking about things that I didn't know. I was talking about things that aren't relevant. I thought they were relevant because to then, that's all I knew. But as you acquire more information, as you acquire more knowledge, you change the way you operate, you change the way you approach. And I'm sure down the line, in a year's time, I'll be doing things differently again, hopefully doing things better. And that's the whole idea of it. I can only talk about what I know from this way, because that's where I've come from. I can't talk about the stuff in the future other than what I want, but once I've gotten there, then I can talk about how I got there. So I hope that makes sense. Appreciate you. Thank you for all the support, all the encouragement. If you do have any questions, comments, chuck them down below. Before we finish, we do have some show and tell, so let's jump over there. All right, team, it is actually Monday afternoon, and it's a long weekend, so I'm actually here, just getting all this ready to go out for Tuesday morning, so I'm going to prep it all tonight. It's about 3 o'clock. We do have 46 items going out, and we're back on 39.65. Dropped down to 39.1, and today it's been busier than yesterday actually, so gonna get all these packed and ready to go, and then I'll be taking them home with me, and my post office will pick them up tomorrow. It just seems the best use of time. I've been doing other things at home this morning. It's nice not have to rush out to get this done though, so it's pretty good. We're going to get this all happening. So we've got a lot of North Face going out. We've got some DVDs there. It's a lot of clothes, guys. We've got some books down here as well, some Terry Pratchett. There's some bundles in here of clothing as well. There's 3 Wrangler shirts here, some books here as well. That's all one bundle of videos and VHS and DVDs and Blu-ray. Some North Face bundles. The little Thomas guy. Not really much, but in terms of variety, it's all just really clothing, and super grateful because last week I had a bit of a bad week in terms of just the mental space. Wasn't happy with the results. They were good results, but I just wasn't happy with the results. Anyway, that's more of a me thing. I've got big goals, right? So I need to be pushing myself. Anyway, let's not dwell on that. Let's get packing. All right, team, we are all done, all packed up. I'm going to put all of this into, not this red bag, but there's a postie bag in there. I had a few more sales come through. I was doing it. One more person actually ordered another item, so I just chucked it into the same box. So it's basically free postage, which was pretty good. I'm happy with that. I'll see you Thursday. All right, team, we're back quicker than expected. We're here on Tuesday. I had quite a lot of sales come through last night, so I was out and about anyway, passing by, so I figured I may as come post. So we've got more clothes going out, lots of bundles actually in here. There's about 14 items in total, but probably about 10 lots. This is sold to Steph. I do appreciate the support. One of my subscribers, so thank you for doing that. This has gone international. Nice little sale there, a couple of DVDs. Then just bread and butter, lots of North Face. eBay woke up over the night, I guess. So there was one more thing that I was meant to send, but I think I had been sorting through a whole bunch of bundle deals, and I think I left it at home. So I'll have to print that one off at home and send it out tomorrow. So it's all good. I mean, it's not due till Thursday, but yeah. I thought I bought it in one of the tubs, but I must have put it to the side. Anyway, it is what it is. We're going to pack all this up and then get out of here. All right, team, it is Thursday, and we're here picking again. We've got 28 items going out. We're at 39,400. We'll drop back down. Just got Drew here in the back. He's doing a live stream, so I've got you on mute, buddy. Sorry. He does live streams. I think he's doing them weekly now, every Thursday at 11 a.m. Anyway, we've got lots of goodies going out. We've got some Star Wars books. We've got some bundles of books here and lots of media here. We've got this guy that I've got. I picked that up in the video, that's yet to come out. This guy's gone for about $130, I think it was. Big bundle of 6 pieces of clothing in there. Some R.M. Williams, a camera, this little guy, and then all just clothes, jeans and all that jazz. So plenty going out. I do have some Pokemon cards that's going out. I'll show you those when I'm packing them as well. So it's all happening. This week's been a lot better. It's the roller coaster ride, as we do. All right, I want to get back to this stream, so I'm gonna pack all this, and I'll keep you updated as I go. All right, team. So we had Ben Richards. He got the big fundraiser win last night. So he got a couple of goodies here. Radiant Charizard. We opened up his packs as well, so they were pretty cool. We also had Mel and Otis. They got a nice little hit there as well. And surprise, Otis. I got a little extras coming there for you. So there'll be a surprise when you open it up. Then we also had a win from Figsy, and he got the Dragonite V-Star. And the final winner got, who was this? This was Johnny Boy, of course. And he got a Radiant Blastoise. So lots of goodies going out. Appreciate you guys always supporting me. And almost done packing. All right, there you go, team. I was blabbering there for a bit. Again, really do appreciate you. Let's finish it up there. So if you have any questions, comments, chuck them down below. Otherwise, you have a wonderful day. Cheers.